Welcome to Hip Hop Now Podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business. What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is Hip Hop Now Podcast, a podcast designed specifically to keep you caught up on all things hip hop music and culture that happened throughout the week. Big shout out to the Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/hip hop now. If you would like to join the Squidard and get some access, some early access, and honestly get some say-so in the content that will hit this platform very, very soon, visit that link that's in the description of this episode. Big shout out to hiphopdx.com, allhiphop.com, djbooth.net, and a couple of places where I'm getting some of these stories from. Let's get right into the business. Waste no time. So apparently, a AI generated song was submitted for a Grammy. Imagine that. Here, this is coming from Variety. Ghostwriter's Heart on My Sleeve, the AI generated song mimicking Drake and The Weeknd, was submitted for a Grammy. And all I'm seeing here also is that AI track that's now being considered for 2 Grammy Awards. So they submitted for 2 different categories to be nominated. Now, on this very show, I did a whole special about AI and the possibilities. And just to sum it up for you who probably hasn't seen it, maybe I'll link it at the end of this video. There was Timbaland with his Biggie song, like, yo, I get to work with him. Like, no, you don't. You're working with AI. And what else was there? I mean, there was just so many things with AI and the use and the popularity. And I kind of talked about how there could be some benefits for maybe individuals. Like, right, if you can't really rap like that, you know what I'm saying? But your man can write, put it in your voice, voila, collaboration. It opens up a whole different category. And then most recently, there was Beanie Sigel and DOC saying that they were going to use AI for their voice. Now, before we get into this, that part I don't mind as much because the DOC lost his voice years ago, and it basically put a stop to a very extremely promising career. He had a classic on his hand with his first album, and it was nothing like it. And he got an unfortunate accident. Same thing with Beanie Sigel. Beanie Sigel was the guy for a minute, and you know he wound up getting shot, and he wound up losing I think a lung or whatever it is. And when you hear him now, you hear him featured on records, it just doesn't hit the same because it's not the Beanie you remember. You know what I'm saying? It's just not. It takes away something from him. Well, now with AI, he can correct that. You know, you can hear him as he once was. But what I like about the DOC and Beanie Sigel situation versus other situations is the fact that both these guys are still here, and it's them writing it. You feel me? Sure, they don't get to really perform it. AI is doing that. But I really don't care, because if you tell me Beanie Sigel wrote all those rhymes and now they're in his original voice, I'll take it. But this is something else. This is something totally, totally different. The implications of a no-name person, I'm just going to say no name, but basically, well, let me not say that, an operator of AI generating a record featuring the voices of Drake and The Weeknd and having the goal to enter it into the Grammys for a nomination. And even having it considered by the Grammy board, which I don't know how they feel. I don't know what they're going to say, what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to establish a rule that keeps AI out of contention. I think I think they should, to a point. For example, not saying that Beanie Siegel and the DOC are going to get any Grammy awards, but if what they do is so good and they wrote it, you have to make concessions for stuff like that, right? The artist behind the music. But a random guy like having me sit there and sample Drake's voice and submit it for a Grammy, like there's something missing there. Like I gotta pay for that likeness or something. You know what I'm saying? Or there's a credit. You know, I'm a producer of it, but there's a credit that goes to these voices, because as much as people may stand on the side and look at celebrities and say, oh, well, what they're mad for, you're rich or you're already successful or this helps you. No, it don't. Because when you're a celebrity, you are fighting for your image. You're fighting for everything regarding your image, every second of every moment. And in today's day and age, especially with this AI stuff, it's like, I don't know, you got to be extra guarded. I mean, you see some of it happening with the actors strike, right? There's a whole line of business that just emerged with streaming that, you know, I don't want to get too deep into it, but, you know, the big Hollywood ain't trying to give up any bread. And it's the same issues not the record industry, but artists had with Spotify. So, again, talking about AI and all that stuff in the Grammys, put it this way, it's too soon. I think songs should be considered, but I think something like this is just way too weird when you have two huge artists who vocals are featured on this record and they had played no role in the creation of it. Something's not right about that. Random dude just in the crib, just playing 2K and drinking Mountain Dew or something. So I don't know. We'll see. There is a Kendrick Lamar diss record that leaked from the Damn album. I guess it was the original version of the song Element, and it features Kendrick dissing a number of artists for different reasons. Now, we say dissing, I heard some of it. It sound more like defending himself, right? Like, because he made a lot of he had a lot of bars about, you know, winning Grammys and how people were feeling and how people talked about his music. And there were plenty of times where I think Meek Mill had called Kendrick a weirdo, and I was like, damn, Kendrick ain't never say anything back, but he did. We just didn't hear it until now. So this leak from the Kendrick Lamar vaults, he disses direct shots, according to, let's just read hiphopdx.com. It's a shout out to them. Kendrick Lamar unloads on Big Sean, Jay Electronica, and French Montana on leaked song. Kendrick Lamar's vaults have sprung a leak, and a song containing direct shots at Big Sean, Jay Electronica, and French Montana has surfaced online. The track, which circulated on social media on Thursday, September 7th, if you're from the future, you already heard it, dog. You already heard the responses. Get your ass out of here. Whatever. Appears to be an unreleased version of Pandemic. Okay, so that's the record. I had it wrong. From TDE's 2018 Black Panther soundtrack. If this is true, I can see why they took it off, because why are you rapping like that on there? Put that on your album. Let's see if we get some bars. Oh, here's some. We're gonna read some of these bars and then we're gonna get out. F subliminals. I put you on the roll call. French Montana speaking on me in interviews. Very cynical. Dry hating something I don't approve. Jay Electronica put silencers on my Grammy night. Another dead pardon self, like my homie would say. Another dead prophet hoping the God will give him life. Ooh, I like that one. I I like that one. Jay Electronica will probably respond because what else is he doing? And this is a couple of bars about Big Sean, then we out. Big Sean keeps sneak dissing. I let it slide. I think his false confidence got him inspired. I can't make them respect you, baby. It's not my job. You finally famous for who you date, not who you rhyme. Boy, okay. Here's my take. Number one, I'm hoping this isn't a AI trick from someone else claiming it's a leak because it's very possible. Those AI tracks are so convincing, it's very possible. If you give it the context of this is from the vault, it's old, it's like people will believe it. Kendrick can come out and claim it's AI and it could be real. Will he do that? I don't know. I don't think so. But you never know. You just never know. But if it's real, I think it's cool. Now, I know I'm a Kendrick Lamar fan, but I'm also a fan of some of the guys he's talking about. And at this time, I knew there was a few dudes who were hating on Kendrick, right? Because you didn't really see Kendrick starting the mess. You just saw people hating the fact that everybody was so excited about Kendrick Lamar's music. And it was typically people who either had some insecurities or weren't doing as well as him. Obviously, they're entitled to their own opinions, but I always wondered why Kendrick never really addressed some of them. And I thought he was just taking a higher road. If this is real, well, he was not. He was with the smoke, obviously. And honestly, we use the term diss, and I think some of them are shots, and I think others are just responses to what was said about him. And it's his thoughts. And I think, honestly, it would have added to that album, which was already dope. So, even though it was supposed to be on this soundtrack, Black Panther. So, I think on there it definitely would have been out of place. But on the album, shit, why not? In today's rap game, you kind of want the battles as a fan, and it's exciting, but sometimes it can drag down the momentum of what you're trying to do as far as like an artist and the music and the relationships. And sometimes the people you do business with get spooked because now they feel like they can't put Kendrick on the same show as Drake or Big Sean or Meek Mill, or it becomes limiting because they think an East Coast West Coast thing is going to happen. And when I say that, I don't mean like these guys are from the East Coast and the West Coast. I mean what happened with Biggie and Tupac, even though it wasn't a direct result of what played out in the media, it was looked at as such. Big time. After that, I mean, they would put any rap thing on the cover of a newspaper, just because it was selling. So it's cool. You could check it out. It's around. It is Kendrick. Sounds like him. It could be AI. Who knows? But it sounds like him. So check it out. And lastly, recently it got out that Mace had finally got his publishing back from Bad Boy Records, from Diddy or Love or whatever he calls himself today. And, there was a little conversation about that. Like, okay, boom, he got his publishing back. Boom, boom, boom. Good. Good for him. But then it came out that Diddy gave publishing back to Mace, The Lox, Biggie, basically bad boy artists, especially from back in the day. And there was a lot of conversation around it, and I'm not even going to spend too much of your time or mine on it. But let me say this. First of all, as an executive at this point in your career, to do something like this that doesn't get done at all, give all the artists their publishing back, is unheard of. It is. I don't care if I'm on Bad Boy and my publishing is worth $1. That doesn't mean I can't go flip it and make my my catalog relevant again so my publishing will look better. Just doesn't. Uh, so obviously kudos to Diddy for that. But I know there are a lot of fans of hip hop who see Diddy as the poster child for bad industry deals. Um, you should know that he is one of many, and it did not begin in the 90s. And it's on your other favorite label too. Very seldom do you see situations where there's some sort of parody or all the artists own a publishing. That's how I do. Some artists willingly sell their publishing when they sign because they don't know. All they see is the money. They don't know the potential and they're not thinking about the future. A lot of times that's not really on the exec, right? Like if the devil is like, yo, sign your life over for 20 stacks and you starving, you might do it just so you can have that money. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe you don't care as much. But then later on, you can't get mad because you made a decision, right? You didn't walk it. You don't even have to take deals that don't look good. You don't have to take them. You don't have to take them. Even back then, you do not have to take them. There's nothing that says because you're poor or whatever that you have to take a bad record deal. You do not. But there are execs, and Diddy's one of them, who know you're going to take it. They know you're trying to get out of your situation. They know you could use that money. And so they do that. But in that moment, you have to be smart enough to at least negotiate something for your future. And with this, obviously, every artist and catalog from Bad Boy's heyday is probably not worth no crazy amount of money. A lot of it was probably devalued by Diddy himself, right? The things that they learned about him, right? And just bad relationships with his artists in that way, right? So even though someone like a Mark Curry, who had a lot to say about it, doesn't see it as a big deal, it kind of still is, man. It's just nobody does that in the record industry. Now, if your publishing is 2 cents, you get a check. I mean, I'm sure the Notorious B.I.G.'s estate thinks very different from Mark Curry. I'm just saying. It's all about what you can do with it. Now, if there's other monies owed, that's a different conversation. And I'm not saying Mark Curry is wrong at all. But there could have been ways to rectify it, right? I think about how sick Black Rob was and how he needed help. And he probably needed financial help and influence and all this stuff, but it was too late. I think in this day and age, if Black Rob had his publishing and put out him or people around him put out a campaign that basically said, hey, look, this man needs some help. It's a GoFundMe, it's a this and that, but also run his music up, man. Go buy it, go stream it, go do everything, but buy merch, whatever, Black Rob, everything. For whatever he could sell. His publishing will be worth more because I think people are more willing to help in those regards because of big industry stuff. Now, I'm just spitballing. I don't know. There could be parts of that I'm missing. What I'm just trying to say is it's all about what you do with it. When you own your own catalog, you own your own publishing, it is up to you to increase that value, right? Nas and Jay-Z value for their catalog and publishing is probably astronomical, if you ask me, because of what they're doing now, right? Nas dropping on these dope albums. You think people just go back and listen to the Hit Boy stuff? People like the Hit Boy stuff, and they go back and listen to a lot of his classic stuff. They run back his whole catalog. They do videos on it and stuff like that. So he raises the profile and the value of his catalog by his activity, and that's what it all depends on, right? So if someone like Faith Evans now has her publishing rights, well, it's up to her to find ways to raise the awareness and the value of what she's done so that people go back and rebuy or buy her old stuff, discover it and buy it and whatever. So then the value goes up. And for whatever a person's situation is, then you go from there, because there are people who, and I'm not saying Diddy continue, because we don't know whose rights he sold. Like, did he still own Craig Mack's publishing rights? Who does that go to? What is that worth today? It might not be worth nothing really, but again, it's all about what you do to raise the profile, especially in a day and age where you don't have to have as much money and resources to do it. Just having access to the internet and know-how as it relates to social media and everything else, sometimes that's enough, right? That's enough. How many times have we seen people, I'm getting on a soapbox, how many times have we seen people get their fame up based off of the internet? Lord Jamar, you could have never told me Lord Jamar would just be known for talking. This is Lord Jamar from Brand Nubian. I didn't even know that much about him until he started appearing on shows, and now he got his own show. So while I applaud Diddy for doing something that most record labels will not do, they don't care if your catalog is worth zero. Their thought is, at some point, people can get really nostalgic, or a newer generation can just discover your music and buy it up, and they will own the publishing, and it'll be money. It's like a stream. So that's the potential. Okay, all these bad boy artists own their publishing now. Fans, detractors of Diddy, now it's your job to help them raise their profile. Mace is raising his profile with the show with Cameron. So, and Mace doesn't really have Mace may have like 2 albums now that I think about it. But nevertheless, know what to do with it. That's the bottom line. Know what to do with it. And fans, now is your time to support in any way you can. So if you see any one of these artists with some kind of new energy based off of their old stuff, their old catalog, whatever they telling you to do, short of something crazy, do it. If it's buy it and you want to support, buy it. If it's stream it, whatever it may be, help them out. Because at the end of the day, all Diddy did was give them a potential lifeline, considering everybody ain't rich. Everybody not getting what Mace will get, or what Biggie's estate will get. Even the Lox, right? Like, that album wasn't great, but the Lox raised their profile and they know what to do. So we'll see. That's going to do it for me. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Vegas World INC, and check out more from this podcast, not only in audio form, available on all podcasting platforms, but also on YouTube. Subscribe, check out the videos, check out my last video. My last video was about basically ranking Nas's catalog today, and including the King's Disease and Magic series and where they land. People seem to like it, so you go check it out. Until next time, y'all, I'm not a critic, I'm a fan. Peace.